Brought to you by International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825.
Assemblyman, let me ask you, we're here at the Commerce Industry Association Legislative Forum, the one-on-one, if you will, forum. Key issues. Say that if you were to predict the top two issues tonight we'll be discussing, what would they be?
Oh, regulation, regulation, and regulation.
Of what?
Of all the above. You're talking to bankers already about Dodd-Frank and the effect it has on small businesses. So it's always about regulation when you're in environments like this, and rightfully so.
Well, respectfully, Assemblyman, Dodd-Frank is federal legislation. That's not state regulation, if you will. Why would that be relevant at a forum like this?
Because state legislators can lobby and advocate to federal legislators. So it's all about access, and we have to listen to these people. So even though it's federal legislation, they're expecting us to help them.
On the economic side, I mean, a lot of talk in New Jersey about the fact that we may be $1 billion, if you will, $1 billion short on the revenue side in the middle of next year. Do you say to yourself, you know what, we need to raise revenues, we need to raise taxes? Is that the first thing that comes to your mind?
We are never going to turn around our economy with the current tax code we have here in New Jersey. We need a complete overhaul. And I know you hear that all the time, especially for those running at the federal level. But our tax code in New Jersey is disincentive, page after page after page.
One example.
Get rid of the estate tax. Get rid of the transfer inheritance tax. Allow for the carry forward of capital losses. Don't tax the gain on the sale of a second home. This is a second home state with all of our shoreline and lakes. And let's make the first $1 million of gain on the sale of a family-owned business tax-free. That would turn the perception of New Jersey around overnight.
But Assemblyman, what do you say to those who say, wait a minute, if you did those things, just say on the sale of the second home, right? You don't get that tax revenue. A lot of people who oppose that say, wait a minute, the state needs that revenue in order to make up the budget shortfall, you say?
Well, you bet. I'm not suggesting we be irresponsible. There are things that we need to do on the other side of the ledger. We need to restructure our tax rates, and we need to close a loophole. The combined reporting loophole for corporations, even Texas, the most conservative state in the union when it comes to taxes, doesn't have that loophole. We do. We need to close it.
Go back to the estate tax issue. It's an interesting one. We've been talking to legislators, business leaders for a couple of years now on this issue. So I'm going to ask the Assemblyman, who has actually a financial background, who understands economics, with all due respect, more than most in the legislature who talk about it. No, it's true. So here's my question. To those who say if you change the estate tax, if you make it a higher threshold, if you will, and the Assemblyman will explain this, we will lose revenue because all of a sudden it doesn't kick in. Right now it's at what level?
$675,000.
If you go up to $1 million or higher, that means people who would have otherwise have to have paid estate taxes will not, you say?
I'm saying this, I'm not even going to have that discussion because there's no room for an estate tax at the state level. I believe in an estate tax at the federal level. There should be no room for an estate tax at the state level because it's that easy to avoid for a great many. And for those who can't avoid it, it's discriminatory. So all you have to do is take residence for 6 months and a day in Florida and you escape the estate tax in New Jersey. There's a great many who can't because they don't have that kind of mobility because they're taking care of a loved one or they have a personal situation. I was just talking to a business owner over here that has no family members that want to take over his business. He is stuck here and will be subject to the estate tax. It's discriminatory in that sense.
Explain to folks the whole idea, the estate tax. If you live in New Jersey, you pay this estate tax. And so on your estate, so there's a federal estate tax, there's a state estate tax. You have argued and others have argued that it's double taxation. Explain the whole Florida thing. Florida's not the only state, but it's the most prominent state people move to.
Well, it is because of climate. But remember this, we're one of only 16 states with an estate tax. We're one of only 2 states with an estate tax and a transfer inheritance tax.
What's that one?
That means you're bequeathing money to family members and friends. It's not just when you die, it's because you're leaving money to people or giving
inheritance tax.
The inheritance tax. So the fact that we're one of only 2, it's terrible. It really is. And there are ways for us to get rid of these without causing a disaster, fiscally speaking, in Trenton.
Real quick thoughts on the $15 an hour minimum wage that State Senate President Steve Sweeney, the Assembly Speaker, your Speaker, Vincent Prieto, have said, we need it, you say?
We need to raise the minimum wage to at least $10 an hour. Proposing that it go to $15 an hour within 5 years is disastrous for the New Jersey economy. And it's unfair to the most unskilled people who use entry-level positions to gain training and upward mobility.
How's it unfair to them if they're going to be making $15 an hour?
Because the small employer, which are the real engines of job growth in this state, are not going to employ as many people. My 15-year-old son currently bags groceries at the local produce shop in Surf City. Within a few years, that's a $30,000 a year job. This has potentially disastrous effect upon the economy and small employers and those at the lower end of the skill labor pool.
Construction companies work at the heart of our communities. So do the operating engineers of Local 825, who build our roads and bridges and ensure the safe transmission of energy that keeps us on the move. Local 825 works with contractors as partners in quality, safety, and training. Our achievements stand as monuments to collaboration that will last for generations. This message has been brought to you by the members of Operating Engineers Local 825. Better building begins here.
Also brought to you by Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, Seton Hall University, and by NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan.